Hey guys, welcome to my first YouTube video on my Mitsubishi Starion build series. And in today's episode, I'll be giving you a first look at Titan Suspension's SP3 coilovers for the Mitsubishi Starion and giving a brief overview of the installation. But first, let me tell you more about Titan Suspension and how these coilovers came to be. If you have never heard of Titan Suspension, they originated in the early 2000s from Malaysia and have been in the aftermarket suspension business since then. They have a strong presence in Southeast Asian market and have recently expanded with growing distributors around the world, including us here in Australia. Now that we know a little bit about Titan Suspension, I wanted to share why I went with these coilovers to begin with. Since owning my 1985 Mitsubishi Starion, the project has taken some substantial upgrades, from a fully forged 2.3 litre to aftermarket engine management and fuel injection, bigger TD06 turbo and a full 3-inch system to complement. But with all this extra power, it occurred to me that going fast is one thing, but handling and stopping power should never be overlooked and can typically be an oversight to some people, and can also be with Starions as aftermarket options are quite limited. This led me to finding new suspension, and a quick Google search will net you 0 factory replacement parts and an overseas supplier for D2 coilovers. And since COVID and rising international shipping prices, I could not comprehend how a local option was not available for these cars. So I reached out to a few suppliers here in Australia, and Titan Suspension were happy to help develop a kit. I spent a good part of a year communicating and providing all the information required by Titan, and the result is what you see here in this video. I wanted the kit to be as close to bolt-in as you can get without any annoyances of misaligned brake tabs or incorrect strut tower mounts, to make sure it fits as easy as you can see. Also, if you're liking the video, don't forget to click that like button and subscribe to my channel if you're interested in seeing more of this project build. I will also link Titan's website below and the link to this kit. Titan can do custom kits for all vehicles, and if yours is not listed, be sure to contact them on Facebook or via their website for more details. Now that I've shared the why with you, let's talk about the installation. I did not film any of the disassembly, as most people watching this will have a fair idea of getting around a Starion. So, starting with the rears, they are direct bolt-in swap, making sure to set the heights evenly between both sides. The front coilovers for the most part are pretty basic, but will require some welding. Once the front brakes and hub is removed along with the spring and mount, you will be left with the spindle and the shock. On top of the shock tube, you will see a threaded nut. Remove this with a large spanner, or a pipe wrench will work if you don't have the correct size. Be sure to catch the oil that comes out to avoid making a mess. Once you have drained as much oil as you can, the shaft will pull out with the piston and seals. The front coilovers require the old shock tube to be cut, roughly 2 to 2.5 inches as a guide. This is required as it aligns the new coilover sleeve to the correct angle of the Starion knuckle. Do not cut the entire tube down to the knuckle. This will cause you a world of problems. Once you have cut your old strut to the correct length, prepare the surfaces of the sleeve and the knuckle to be welded. I used a TIG welder at 90 to 110 amps, but you use your own weapon of choice or have a shop do this for you. It may be very difficult to fill in all the way around the back of the sleeve, but should not cause an issue if the rest of the weld is sufficient and strong. Once you have welded the front sleeve on, you may need to remove the old brake tab from the standard strut and weld it to the correct position. These new kits may have them pre-done for you, but I had to fit mine as this was a first kit. For reference, 10mm down from the top of the sleeve is where mine is positioned. After you've finished all your welding and painting, go ahead and bolt your new strut assembly in and install your brake hardware. This may be a good time to install new wheel bearings or brake pads while you are there. Before closing your bonnet, please check for strut mount stud clearance. I have a JA style bonnet installed, but for some reason, someone decided to cut the supports around the vents, so I have clearance. This should also have been fixed in the new kits, but I wanted to throw this in as a precaution. I wouldn't want anyone to put some dings in the underside of their bonnet. The car height from front to back will be different at first. To fix this, measure from the center of the wheel to the wheel arch from front to back. There is roughly a 10mm height difference in the guard height lines on the Starion from front to rear, so keep that in mind when setting your heights. Once you have your measurements, calculate how much you will need to raise or lower in millimeters. Put the car back up and measure your distance between the two locking nuts, preferably with a set of digital verniers. So let's say if you had to lower the front by 10mm, you would unlock the lower locking nut and turn the upper assembly clockwise or counterclockwise until you reach that 10mm height difference between your locking collars. Do not adjust the lower spring nut to adjust the height of the car, as these come preloaded correctly from Titan and can cause an uneven ride. Now that your heights are all set, the only thing left to do is install your wheels and start adjusting your dampening to your liking. I personally went with the Street Comfort at 5 and 7 kilograms and find running my dampening adjustment somewhere in the middle was good. So that's going to conclude today's video, and I hope it was helpful enough. Be sure to leave a comment if you need any more information, or you can contact me on my socials. You will find them in the description below.